I think we'll wait a couple of minutes for people to join, and then we'll get going. For those of you who have just joined, we're going to wait a couple of minutes, and then we'll get going with the webinar. Thank you for joining. Lovely. I think we've got a group of us here now, so we're able to get started. Thank you everybody for joining us today. So welcome to Cleafy's second webinar. For those of you that don't know much about us, we're Cleafy. We're a cyber fraud fusion vendor. We're headquartered in Milan in Italy, but we're working across a lot of top European banks. So we are really excited to look forward to getting this kind of webinar started. So who are we? So we are Matthew and Federico. I'm part of the sales engineer function and solution engineering function within Cleafy, and we're really lucky to have Federico alongside me here. He's part of the threat intelligence team that we have, and they look at new threats and new malware strains on a daily basis, and they're the guys that really help us to be cutting edge in what we're looking to do in preventing mobile malware. So first off, we'd like to do a quick poll. So if we're able to put that up on the screen. The first question is, how many banking apps have been targeted by malware in 2023? We will just let that run so everybody has a chance to have a bit of a guess on there, and then we'll reveal the answer in a second. A good varied amount of guesses on there. The primary one that people have pulled out is around about 750. It's a little bit scary, but actually is more than that. It's 1,100 that we've had, or that we've kind of looked at. So there's 1,100 financial apps that were kind of targeted in 2023. We're expecting that to actually increase over 2024. So that really is showing the direction of travel. And as such, it really is becoming a bit of an inconvenient truth that the cybersecurity and cyber fraud landscape is evolving. Mobile malware is rapidly becoming one of the most dangerous threats facing banks and financial institutions. Unfortunately, these are sophisticated threats, so they're able to bypass traditional defenses. And this is allowing fraudsters to infiltrate digital ecosystems with really alarming ease. This is allowing people to get access to sensitive data. It's also allowing people to initiate fraudulent transactions and compromise devices as well. So this is posing a real risk to both individuals and institutions. So let's have a look at some numbers around this. So what we can see here is that there's definite trends around the mobile malware issue that we're seeing. So as we've got at the top right there, the 1,100 banking apps being targeted. Mobile banking trojans grew by 70% year on year. Again, that's going to be increasing. And mobile malware is leveraging advanced evasion techniques. So there's a lot of polymorphic behavior happening within these to avoid detection as well. So this is being reported globally. These are not isolated markets and these are not isolated verticals. These are all happening at the same time across the world. So going back to kind of malware 101, what is it and kind of why is it dangerous? So current malware attacks, especially within financial institutions, are often mistaken just for pure fraud because the end result is essentially financial loss, and that's always easily measurable. However, that lead up to the event can sometimes be a lot less clear due to lack of visibility or understanding where and how to look at these threats and stop them much earlier in the kill chain. This is unfortunately exacerbated by the siloed nature of fraud and cyber teams in financial institutions and generally across the board. So what are we looking at when we see kind of malware come through? So it used to be very much that you maybe get an SMS or something come in and you would click on a link and then you would get malware. But it's certainly becoming a little bit more complicated than that. So Trojans are coming through on applications that seem to be legitimate and have legitimate use and operation, but they certainly have other interests that sit underneath that. So these are really here to perpetrate an attack or to steal valuable data and then go on and commit fraud. So you may be in a position of having a legitimate application on an app store. It's easy to install because fraudsters would always want the kind of swiftest path to victory when it comes to these things. And the scary bit is they can be updated remotely and have tactics in them to avoid antivirus. So let's have a look at a couple more figures around this. So 2023, there was a group of banking applications that were being attacked and possibly compromised. We were looking at kind of T-Bot, Godfather, and Hook for these. And then there's the country and the number of apps that were targeted. It's really difficult sometimes to understand the size of the malware impact. I mean, a lot of the time the data's not there. It doesn't even exist in the first place, or it's not even being looked at to be retrieved. And also the information gathering and sharing is so important just to even stay on top of the latest threats. So from us to you as a group who have joined this webinar, our plea to you is please just use all the channels available to you when it comes to communication on threats, because it certainly helps everybody when you're in a position of not fully being aware or being able to help when it comes to the mobile malware threats that are out there. So generally, we put these into sort of three attacks or three attack vectors. So we're kind of classifying these based on the sort of attacks that they can perform. The first one is account takeover and device takeover. So essentially, that's the impersonation of a customer, the use of their credentials. Also, kind of credentials might already have been previously stolen or taken from the black market, possibly with a phishing or social engineering attempt, or even with just malware, for example, just using keylogging. The third type of fraud on there is a scam, and that's really put in there just to kind of give the indication that not everything is totally black and white when it comes to individuals who are being targeted. There's always an element of social trickery or something in place to put you in a position of vulnerability before you're able to be attacked or targeted by malware. So it could be direct social engineering, someone calling you and asking you to download something, or it could be indirect social engineering, such as putting something on an app store for you to download, and then you do it essentially without your consent of having malware on your device. The middle one, for me, is probably the most dangerous and probably the most scary. So automated transfer system kind of fraud or attacks involves the change of the bank transfer attributes. So this happens automatically or without the consent or knowledge of the customer. So it used to be that you would have a man in the browser or a man in the middle. This has now moved on to things being totally automated within that process. And from my perspective, that's pretty scary. If you've got a bit of malware on your device, you could be losing money without even understanding that that's happening. So what have we got in the way of real cases that we've seen or that we've found? We've got some mobile malware that we've discovered. All of these are harming banks and harming financial institutions worldwide. Everything from Sharkbot, so like we say, the automatic transfer system fraud. T-Bot is a massive one that we found, and that Federico was involved in the discovery of that. So that's with the on-device fraud and then account takeover. And then going down to the bottom right-hand corner, we've got Copybara that we've done a recent paper on, and then in the last couple of weeks or week and a half, Medusa as well as a new on-device fraud vector that's gone to market. And it's really important to try and put this into some sort of context, because this isn't just somebody in their back room deciding they want to build a bit of malware and then put that out and then see if they make any money of it. This is essentially a malware as a service. So there's access to kind of malware. There's no need to know how to program this. So you get people who just have no history of understanding how to kind of program anything, but they got access to be able to really cause some serious harm. And also, we're lately finding that whoever is developing the malware doesn't actually go on to exploit it. So there's two different business models sat within here, and there's agreements between organized criminal groups or OCGs, whereas someone will put essentially out to tender and say, we would like some malware that would hit X, Y, and Z. Can anybody help? And then the other party involved would respond going, yeah, we could probably build that for you. Give us 6 months lead time and give us $100,000 or £100,000. They probably don't work in dollars because it's a bit of a tricky one for the for the fraudsters. But they would have some sort of financial agreement in place, and then almost a semi-understood agreement to make that happen. On top of this, you can buy things like phishing kits, command and control tools. And these are all used in kind of advanced attack management and execution tools to help really target individuals through quite a complex campaign. So there's local operators who would work in an area. There's training for these operators as well. We've seen helplines and help kind of contact pieces. So if you have a problem with your mobile malware, someone will be able to help you, which just sounds beyond whatever you would expect from an organized group, but these are turning super professional. The next part of this is, realistically, many current malware attacks are often mistaken for other types of fraud because the end result is kind of financial loss. So we're seeing the culmination of these different threat vectors coming together to create sophisticated attack types. So if you don't feel like you're seeing what you think you should be seeing, you're probably right. These are probably very well hidden. It's very difficult to get a handle on how this is working in real time, especially as they're now in a position of really being able to exploit and leverage those banking applications and payment systems to automatically move money. It's a scary time to be a banking and financial operator at the moment. We do have another poll for you here, so we'll put that up on the screen for you now. Excellent. So we've got some really good responses on there. The bulk of you realise that physical theft of devices is something that is not commonly associated with mobile banking Trojans, but at the same time, physical theft of devices are on the rise. You see people on mopeds stealing devices, taking data from them. So in reality, yes, this is another risk, but there's a lot of things going on out there around app mimicry, credential theft, and real-time transaction manipulation, which is causing a lot of harm. What I will do now is pass over to my colleague Federico, who will talk to you around some real-life cases of mobile malware, T-bot, and Capybara. Over to you, Federico.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone, and thanks, Matthew, for giving me the stage. So right now, I wanna try focusing on two significant threats, which are T-bot and Capybara. And today we will explore the real life cases of this malware and also understand how they operate in the wild. So we aim to highlight the evolving landscape of mobile threats and emphasize the importance of staying vigilant. So I wanted to start with a definition, which is the on-device fraud, also known as ODF, which is a severe and sophisticated form of banking fraud. Consider that these types of fraud involves initiating wire transfer directly from the victim's mobile device. And what makes ODF particularly dangerous, it's also its ability to bypass traditional anti-fraud countermeasures. So attackers can adopt ODF for both manual and also automatic approaches, make it very versatile fraud scenarios in their arsenal. It is also crucial to understand these methods to develop also an effective defense mechanisms. So if we move to the next slide, I will starting with Capybara. And from the end of 2023 and the very first weeks of 2024, our threat intelligence team intercept a significant banking fraud operation against the UK, Spain, and also Italy, which was dubbed as Capybara. And this campaign employed some sort of hybrid approach, let's say, combining both social engineering techniques such as smishing and vishing with malware to execute unauthorized banking transfer via instant payments. And the threat actors behind Capybara utilize a well-organized networks of money mules to launder all the stolen funds. And this case study also underscored the need and for a comprehensive security measures to combat such sophisticated attacks efficiently. So moving into the next slide, we will see some sort of an overview of the entire Capybara fraud campaigns. So this diagram illustrates the flow from the phishing management panel operated by the threat actor itself to the various phishing domains used to deceive victims. And consider that these domains act as some sort of decoy to collect both credentials and also other sensitive information as well. And all the infrastructure was proxy through Cloudflare, which is a well-known CDN, content delivery network service, marked in the middle, which is abused by threat actor for masking the real location of their malicious command and control infrastructures. And this comprehensive setup showcases also the sophistication and both organization behind the capybara's operation. So if we move to the next one, we will try to focusing on the very first stage, which is the phishing phase. And this slide details the phishing phase of capybara campaign, illustrating how attackers can manipulate victims into providing their credential and other sensitive information. So the process begins with the victim receiving an SMS containing a link to a fake banking website. And this banking website is designed to closely mimic the legitimate banking site, also creating a full sense of security for the victim. So the victim is prompted to enter their login credentials and also a phone number on this fake website. And once the victim submits these initial details, they will redirect to a second page where they ask to provide additional information, including their full name and also the balance of their bank account. So this step is crucial as it gathers comprehensive personal data, enhancing the effectiveness of the subsequent fraud attempts. And after entering all the requested information, the victim sees a final screen stating that, okay, their data has been successfully processed. And this message is also crafted to reassure the victims, ensuring that they remain, let's say, unaware of the data theft and continue to trust the fraudulent website. So these collected details are typically used in the next phase of the attack, which is the vishing phase or voice phishing. So within minutes, based on the, let's say, availability of the threat actor itself, the victim will receive a phone call from a fake anti-fraud operator posing as a representative of their bank. And the operator uses the information provided by the victim to build trust and also to make the victim believe that the call is legitimate. So this trust is critical for the success of the attack, as it will convince the victim to share even more sensitive information or also take action that compromise their entire security. And to manage the stolen data efficiently, threat actor utilize a dedicated web control panel, as you can see in the next slide. And this panel allows them to monitor in real time all the data entries made by the victims. So as you can see, this interface provides a comprehensive overview of the compromised information, facilitating the orchestration of further fraudulent activities. So the interface labeled as Mr. Robots allow the attackers to manage the stolen data efficiently. It includes fields for various types of information, as you can see, such as login credentials, passwords, phone numbers, and bank account details. And this organized layouts helps the attacker streamline their operation and also ensure that they can quickly access and exploit the stolen data. So understanding this interface give us insights into the professional nature of these criminal enterprises. So continuing from the phishing phase, once the victim is on the phone with the fake bank operator, and the trust has been established, the operator suggests installing a dedicated application to perform security check on the victim device. So the victim will be provided with a second link to download and install the application, with the operation also offering some sort of step-by-step assistance while maintaining the phone call. And the application is in reality a capybara sample, which once installed, it will grant the threat actor to full remote control over the victim devices. And this capability enables the attacker to execute an on-device fraud scenario, where they can manipulate device, access sensitive information, and also perform unauthorized transaction directly from the victim device. And to manage all the infected device, as you can see in this slide, the attackers use a second web control panel, which was called Joker Rat. And the interface allows the attacker to monitor and control multiple compromised devices, ensuring that they can efficiently orchestrate and execute their fraudulent activities. So the panel is some sort of central hub for the threat actor to manage their operation. It provides real-time data from the infected devices, allows for remote control, and facilitates the execution of commands. The interface includes a feature for tracking device locations, manage different Android versions, for example, and of course, initiating banking operations. So the Joker rat panel exemplify how threat actors leverage sophisticated tools to streamline their fraudulent activities, making it even crucial for us to understand and counter these technologies. Okay, now that we have seen an overview of how those recent capybara campaigns are conducted, I'd like to provide you with details about a second family of banking Trojan that has been particularly apparent in recent years, which is T-bot. Specifically, I want to highlight some recent evolution of T-bots that have been designed to further maximize the least procedure for those campaigns. So as you can see from this slide, T-bot is an Android banking Trojan, which was discovered by Cleafy at the beginning of 2021. Its capabilities enable threat actors to perform on-device fraud by sideloading applications and manipulating devices to steal funds. And recent samples show how threat actors are evolving their sideloading techniques, including also the distribution of application directly into the official Google Play Store, also known as dropper applications. And this method significantly increased the reach and also the effectiveness of the malware, as users are typically more likely to download and install application from a reputable source, such as Google Play. And if we move to the next slide, now we are looking at the evolution of the T-bot distribution methods. So this image shows the traditional mechanisms that T-bot used in the past. And this method primarily relied on social engineering techniques, particularly through smishing campaigns. In these scenarios, victims typically receive an SMS containing a link that directs them to install the application via the sideloading procedures. That means that the application wasn't directly downloaded from an official store. And this method exploited the victim's lack of awareness about the risk of installing this application from unknown sources. If we go to the next slide, to the right, we will see a new distribution mechanism that T-bot has adopted over the last 12 months, leveraging, as said before, the Google Play Store. And this significant evolution allows threat actors to bypass the need for an SMS-based distribution strategies. Instead, they abuse the actual official store to gain a higher level of trust from potential victims, who are more likely to, let's say, install application from a reputable source like Google Play Store. And one of the most effective techniques employed by a threat actor to maximize the number of download is the abuse of Google ads. So threat actors here promote their application through these ads, ensuring that they appear among the top search results in the Google. And typically, these dropper applications try to distinguish themselves as a utility, such as PDF readers, QR code scanners, and other similar tools that are pretty frequently searched by the users. So when a potential victim searches for such an application, the Google ads managed by the threat actor make sure that the malicious application appear prominently in the search results. And this strategy significantly increases the likelihood of installation, thereby maximizing the reach and also the impact of the malware itself. And the evolution in distribution tactics not only show the adaptability of threat actor, but also highlights the continuous need for vigilance and enhanced security measure to protect against such sophisticated threats. So how is it possible that threat actor manage to bypass the controls that Google itself performs before allowing an application to be uploaded to the official Google Play Store? So let's move to the next slide. So the core point is the use of dropper application that in fact do not contain any malicious banking Trojan code within them. They are developed with a very small very minimal fingerprinting, even also in terms of permission requested during the installation process to minimize their detection. So these types of application contains only one functionality that can be abused by the threat actor, which is the update functionality. So through the update functionality, threat actor can deceive the user by proposing an update for the application, allowing the installation of a second application. And this second application will be no longer came from the official Google Play Store, but will be installed through side loading. And it will be this second application that will contain all the malicious code necessary to attempt a banking fraud. So the figure on the right shows fake update procedure used by one of the dropper that we were able to analyze in the last months. And if the victim accepts the proposed update procedure, in this case, T-bot will be installed into the device. If we move to the next slide, we will see an example of a dropper leveraged by T-bot just a couple of months ago. So this is a concrete example of how a malicious app distinguished as a PDF reader can quickly proliferate. So as you can see in the first image on February 14th, the app just had 10K downloads. But just a couple of days ago, the number of downloads has surged over 50K until the 19th of February, when it was surpassing the 100K different download. And this rapid growth underscores also the effectiveness of the usage of dropping application to distribute malware. And the app's popularity can attributed also to its legitimate appearance and functionality, which also encourage user to download and trust it. However, once installed, it will silently download and install T-bot, which then result in a total compromise of the device itself. So this example highlights the challenge also in detecting and preventing the distribution of malware through the Google Play Store itself. So if we move to the next slide, if you enjoy these more technical content, let's say, and you want to also to stay updated on the latest in banking fraud and also malware researches, you can visit our Cleafy Labs blogs. Right now, our blogs feature 20 plus in-depth analysis of modern banking fraud operation, including our latest analysis on Medusa, as Matthew said before, which is another significant mobile threat that we see surge in the couple of weeks ago. So we also have the possibility to discover 4 new malware families. T-bot was one of them, but also Sharkbot, Revive, and Pixpirate, and each with the, let's say, unique characteristics and capabilities. So we have also unmasked 2 major fraud operation targeted corporate banking, revealing the sophisticated techniques used by threat actors to exploit vulnerabilities in the financial systems. Also, our work have been featured in multiple worldwide articles, including those from Recorded Future, Hacker News, ZDNet, Forbes, Fox News, and many others. So scan the QR code here to also quickly access to our blog and stay informed about the latest development in cybersecurity. So I will now leave the word to Matthew, and thank you very much for your attention for today.
Thank you, Federico, for successfully scaring everybody to never download anything ever again, I think. So brilliant. We've kind of highlighted the problem. We've got a good understanding of what's going on. We understand that it's really fast moving and that new things are kind of happening all the time. So what can you do about it? And of course, how can we help you navigate those murky waters a little bit? So first off, realistically, to be effective against this, you need next generation and advanced threat detection. You need to be in a position to make really good decisions with the data that comes through, but also with an understanding that kind of the traditional endpoint solutions are now being bypassed essentially daily with sophisticated mobile malware and the ATS attacks that we've been seeing. So with malware becoming more common and also becoming more sophisticated, this really gives an overview of the direction of travel that companies should be going for. Of course, we understand there's going to be nuances within this and your own risk appetites that come along with that, and the desire to reduce those false positives and getting that correct information. But the key here is really kind of making those good decisions. So the first response, I suppose, is, well, why not just get an antivirus, right? I mean, that must do something. It's a good start alongside kind of endpoint solutions, but antiviruses are falling behind a little bit in their effectiveness, unfortunately. And there's a few reasons for this. First off, fraud is now an industry. Mobile malware is an industry. Fraud in general, to be perfectly honest with you, in 2024 is going to be worth $55 billion. And if you're a person who decides that this is the route that you want to take, that's a very attractive number that you would want to have a piece of moving forward. So you would think that an antivirus would be able to help and compete against this, but unfortunately, essentially it isn't. Antivirus software is reactive, and it's really only as good as the pool of data essentially that it has to run against, which is naturally limited. So with ourselves, we're looking at multi-level pattern recognition, identifying the patterns of what the malware itself does. And for our own protection, we've got patents against the technologies that we use. So we're really at that kind of cutting edge of what we're able to kind of offer in this space. And also, there's a life cycle to these things. So when there's a attack in full swing, before the malware is even identified and characterized, it is on an upward trajectory of usage. Fraudsters are seeing that this is a very profitable way to make money and to be effective, because they always want the shortest path to victory. But as soon as that's categorized, there's a suppression on that and it's moved out. But this process could be days, weeks, months, depending on the response by the antivirus company or the other companies involved. That's if it's ever stopped at all. There may be offshoots or there may be evolutions of the malware from its starting point onto becoming a new threat. So what do we look to do? We're taking more of a holistic view of this. So we're taking that cybersecurity posture of extended detection and response, but we're doing it from a fraud prevention. So we call it fraud extended detection and response. So the FXDR really is an approach that extends the traditional detection and response capabilities to specifically address and mitigate those fraudulent activities. So here we're looking to integrate those kind of advanced technologies, processes, strategies, will allow us to analyze and respond to fraud across all of the digital channels. So the key components really to kind of take out of here is comprehensive detection, the integrated response. So we're able to coordinate automated and manual responses to fraud incidents. We're able to involve multiple stakeholders and also systems to minimize that impact. Holistic coverage, so we're looking across that whole spectrum of vectors, financial transactions, ATOs, malware, all through a white box analysis. So you'll be able to see everything that's going on. Continuous improvement, of course, is what you need to be right at the cutting edge of what you can kind of offer. So we've got ongoing monitoring and feedback loops in here to enhance the algorithms that we use. But also the contextual analysis that goes alongside that as well. So focusing really on understanding the context and, just as importantly, the intent behind the fraudulent activities to improve the accuracy and detection of those and the effectiveness of those responses. So all very well and good, but how do you make use of that? So we have a system which is lightweight in its integration. So essentially we're sat on the load balancer, and then you can have all the information come out via webhooks or the RESTful APIs. But you may also want a portal to have a look at what's happening as well. So we've got our comprehensive web portal, and this will allow you to see in real time all that traffic that comes through. You can interrogate those sessions, have a look at those instances, see the story behind them, and then any tags or rules that have been hit along the way. If you need to, we can also provide you with the raw code unmodified and presented for further analysis on your side if you need it. So this is just moving on to how we do this. So we have the malware detection capabilities. So we're looking at zero-day malware through here. We have the user prediction. So we're using a combination of machine learning algorithms. And this is forever evolving, just like the fraud and malware is itself. So we're looking to leverage this against that zero-day malware on the victim's device. And then the tailored threat intelligence. So working alongside Federico's team, they're gathering information all the time and then feeding that back into the system. This allows you to then have a look at that malware or those threats that are coming through, and it's clearly labeled and clearly looked at, so clearly available for you within the system for you to look at. From here, we have a patented feature called risk propagation. So this automatically propagates the risk detected on the victim's device. So that's giving you additional almost belt and braces on there. And then we're able to set up responses via rules. So again, this is very changeable to your own risk profile and your needs. There's always going to be things that you will want to see, but there's also parts in there that you're able to set up yourself and also give you that flexibility that you need. And the final part is going back to kind of what Federico said just now. Essentially, we've got experts who have international trust. So the fraud hunters who sit underneath Federico are looking at the risks that come through and then passing that back through to product. And then we're looking to make this the kind of market leading platform for cyber fraud and fraud in general. So how does Federico do what he does, and how does he make it really the jewel in our crown, essentially? So the integrated threat intelligence that we have essentially allows for matching of web injects, mobile apps, bank accounts, and those sort of generally malicious bits of information, and categorizes them and provides that to go back into the system. So this is an automated, updated feed of the latest information that you would have. There's no need for you guys to request Delta files or bulk uploads or kind of downloads, and that's all done automatically for you. It's done on a tagging system, so it's nice and visual. When you go into the system to have a look, you can kind of see what has been tagged, what's on there. And then when you go in to have a look, it gives you the technical analysis of what you're looking at as well. So again, all the information relevant to your business, really to offer the information to help you make good decisions. You can create your own rules, or you can create your own security postures off the back of this information. So how does this sit into the full kind of bigger picture of what we offer? So this reads left to right. So on the left-hand side, you've got all of your information and data coming in. So whether that's via an API, your SDK, an ADC, for example, that's all brought through web app, mobile app, payments data, card transactions. And then we're looking to really help you make sense of that information. So we have tags that come in, such as whether it's behavior, biometric transaction, malware, or others. You can create your own. And then at the top, we have a feed in from the ask element. So Federico's team, all of that knowledge, all of that intelligence coming through. And then we're looking to detect patterns, provide you with information, and allow you to have a real sort of full visible view of what's happening in your system at any given moment in time. And this is really important for looking at audits when they come through. Why have you made decisions on this customer? Why are you making this particular security posture? It gives you all the information to allow you to kind of move forward in a positive manner without affecting the bottom line of your business. From here, you're able to pass that information out to workflow builders, transaction monitoring systems, firewalls, whichever direction you want that to go. So this is quite happily sit within an existing structure. The final part probably is to kind of look at how this works in a real life case study. So this is a customer that we had. They had a web channel with Cleafy on it for a while. They wanted to push a new mobile application through with the Cleafy SDK embedded within it. And then within the first 2 weeks of that application being live, we detected an ongoing campaign, really in the early stages. So this was in the early stages of kind of testing and refinement of a new malware, which turned out to be T-Bot, and it was targeting the customer. And at that point, it was already present on 97 devices. And if you think that 97 times however much money someone's got in their account, or kind of the availability to do harm with that, it's a pretty scary number. So we were really monitoring the presence of that suspicious application across the system at all times. And then when kind of different criteria were met internally, the application is added to an early response categorization. So this really allowed us to apply a response in the presence of a new uncategorized malware type. And this was added to the early response in less than 36 hours of being found. Once that application has been defined and the early response tag was added, we had an analysis carried out by the threat intelligence team under Federico. That analysis was completed, and then the new tag is sent to that particular, set on that particular malware, and it allows us and the customer to create a specific response into that scenario. So this happened 6 days after kind of that initial catch of the new malware. And then once that was all completed, we did the full analysis period. This was 20 days in, and there was 106 sessions which was potentially affected by the new malware. And then by the end of it was 1,661 sessions which were fully identified. And then we managed to confirm that we had a 94% detection rate within 20 days. So this is really showing that we can't wait here for something to be categorized and then set up and kind of looked at in more detail. This is very much quick, a good understanding, full understanding, experts having human eyes on it, and then the information fed straight back into the system to protect other customers who will be working with us as well. So we have our final poll of the day. So if we could put that up, that would be great. So we got a 100% success rate on that. I don't know whether this is because everybody's been listening and they've taken it all in and it's excellent, or when a poll says all of the above, it's probably going to be all of the above. But it's certainly a good learning point either way. So thank you so much for joining us. We do have the option for a Q&A. I'll just have a quick look and see if there have been any questions come in. We've got a couple come in already, so I will just read those and then see if we can answer those on the fly for you. Okay, so first question. Can you elaborate on some practical defensive strategies that banks can implement to protect against the sophisticated techniques employed by modern mobile malware? Good question. Practical is always tricky because it all depends on who you are as a company, what you've got in place, who the people are that you've got working for you. But essentially, what you're really going to need is visibility, fast reaction, and kind of the ability to have something effective to really help you there. So, from our perspective, those would be kind of the key takeaways on that. Federico, did you have anything that you wanted to add on that question?
Yeah, I kindly agree with you, Matthew. But from my point of view, it's let's say essential also that anti-fraud teams possess necessary cybersecurity skill also to fully understand the capabilities of modern banking trojan and how they can be exploited to commit banking fraud. Again, real-time client-side detection is obviously a thing, and because it can immediately alert the anti-fraud team to potential threats, while maybe also behavioral analysis can identify as well unusual patterns that can might indicate fraudulent activity. So combining this strategy enhances the ability to detect and mitigate threats before resulting in a significant harm.
Thank you. Second question here. How has mobile malware evolved in recent years, and what are the emerging trends that financial institutions should be aware of to stay ahead of potential threats? I certainly think this is a little bit of crystal ball gazing where you're trying to find out what's happening in the future. But unfortunately, with mobile malware, things come quicker to you than you probably anticipate. In your world, Federico, what are you seeing as being the next potential threats or things that are coming down the line?
Yeah, let's start saying that Android banking Trojan have undergone significant evolution in recent year. So initially they were simple, let's say, information stealer, like intercepting SMS messaging and two-factor authentication codes, basically. But however, they have now advanced to fully fledged rats, as you can see in the example like T-Bot and Copybar today. So from my perspective, one of the emerging threats that financial institutions should closely monitor is the on-device fraud, because it's been, let's say, increasingly adopted by various malware families due to its effectiveness and also the difficulty it poses for traditional anti-fraud tools.
Excellent, thank you. Next question here. I think this might be the final one. I'll see if any more come through. Probably one for you again, Federico. From the Cleafy Threat Intelligence team's case study, what were some key indicators that revealed the presence of mobile malware, and how can other institutions use these indicators in their own threat detection processes? Did you get all of that? Is that okay?
Yeah. So
Right.
let's stay in the context of on-device fraud. So I mean, anti-fraud team can leverage several key indicators. Also can help to detect and prevent the presence of mobile malware. First one will be, of course, the client-side malware detection. So having a robust client-side malware detection is crucial nowadays. And by the way, our solution provides these capabilities, giving also the anti-fraud team real-time visibility into which user are infected and the type of malware is present. So also this allows for immediate action to mitigate these threats. Another point can be also the strong remediation process, because once infected clients are identified, it's also essential to implement remediation processes before a fraud occurs, a fraud attempt occurs. And these processes can include, for example, blocking or significantly reducing the banking operations for the infected customers, requiring credential resets, and in severe cases also formatting the device to remove the malware itself. So by employing these indicators and processes, institution can enhance their threat detection and response frameworks effectively, reducing the risk of impact of mobile banks attacks.
Excellent, thank you. I think we've covered off the bulk of the questions. There might be a couple more that we can reach out to people afterwards. Um, But from us, we want to say thank you. We've had a really good turnout today for this. So we appreciate you all taking time out at whatever time of the day it is for you. If you want to speak to us, you can always reach out to us on LinkedIn or reach out to us on the email up on your screen now. But for now, what we will say is thank you again for coming to us, and we'll look forward to presenting and speaking to you in the next one.